Hi, everyone, and welcome into Don't Tell Me How to Fan. My name is Josh Albrecht. With me, as always, is my good pal, John Taylor. John, how are you?
I'm doing well. The sky stopped falling today, so that was exciting.
That was exciting. That was a breath of fresh air that I didn't think I'd need.
Hmm.
Let's talk about a lot of things have happened since the last time we had a podcast. Mostly, we got Freeburgs for the third time in Brewers history. They had won 12 games in a row, and that beautiful piece of paper was given out to commemorate. Today was actually the day. Today being August 21st. It's not going. We saw it though.
Yeah, it was yesterday, not today.
You're right. Thank you. August 20th, Wednesday, August 20th was the day where you could actually get the burgers for 4 hours, 2 to 6, I believe. You could go, and I did not go because I got the coupon. Instead, I didn't. Some people got both, which is fine. But the coupon was supposed to be if you couldn't be there today from 2 to 6 at a George Webb's, and
Yesterday,
I didn't yesterday, and I didn't care about the burger as much as I did the voucher. Just wanted the voucher to commemorate, and so that's what I did. But I did see video of guys like walking with like styrofoam coolers, just handing them out, handing them into the lines. Here's your burger. Take a burger. Take a burger. Take a burger. And that all happened because the Brewers won 12 games in a row, but they didn't stop there, John. They won 2 more, breaking the record for most consecutive wins in franchise history. And I personally loved it. And I'll tell you why. Because the team streak in 1987, right? That was the year that they first did it and had 12 wins, and also the first year or the year that they had the most wins. They didn't do anything with the 87 season. They just, as much as they had streaks, they had losing streaks. They finished like third in the AL or whatever it was, and they didn't do anything with it. So now I love the fact that that everyone who celebrates the Brewers teams from the 80s so much, you can't really even stand on that anymore because now it's the second longest streak in Brewers history. And that, I don't know why, but that made me happy.
Yeah.
To know that no. When you're going to talk about team streak, it's the 2025 Milwaukee Brewers, not the 1987 Milwaukee Brewers. That team has been dethroned.
Yeah.
Is that bad of me? Does that make me a bad fan?
No, I don't think so. Streaks were meant to be broken. I think on paper, this team is very exciting. Forgive my lack of knowledge on the 1987 team. I wasn't born yet.
Same.
And maybe I could have done more research into it, but I'm willing to bet good money they weren't the best team in baseball at that time.
They weren't. No.
So, there's a lot of extra accolades that is going to get attached to this win streak that I think kind of makes up for the things that you're talking about. 1987 was just cool. It was 1987, The 2018 one, same thing. We kind of dominated the division that year. So to be where we're at with the team that we're at, maybe this is, revisionist history because I'm experiencing this team in real time, but it feels like the way this team has won, because it's not just the 14-game win streak. It's the 25-4 in August or, whatever that jumped to, whatever the record is this month, all of that swirls into this. They didn't just get hot. They've been hot. And then, they, in the last 2 months, they've had 2 opportunities to get us George Webb's burgers. Hell, they could get us another one.
True.
And there's no reason to think they can't. So
is that not crazy to think about just the best baseball? I mean, it's got to be the best baseball over a 2-month period for sure that Brewer fans have ever enjoyed, right? Like July and August were insane.
Yeah. I mean, short of maybe if you want to say that final push with CC Sabathia to break the playoff drought. I mean, that is a moment that I will always remember. And,
correct,
but I mean, that moment was elevated by the fact that the Brewers didn't make the postseason in over 10 plus years. I mean, I don't know.
More than that.
Yeah. So
I mean, it was like 20 something. Yeah.
totally. So, that I'll always remember for
25. Yeah.
us trying to get out of the mud, and it's still, we got that playoff and then we didn't get back till 2011 and then we were out again for quite a long time. So, this feat is truly probably the best 2 months of consistent baseball. To answer your original question, without a doubt. I don't think you can talk about Brewers history and not talk about these past 2 months. Hell, they might keep winning. You know what I mean? It's like they're the first team in baseball to get to 80 wins. It's the fastest Brewers team to ever get to 80 wins. So, I didn't look. Shame on me for not looking, but we did win predictions, and I said I think this team's going to get to 90 wins. And you and I had a long conversation about how you didn't think that was going to be possible, and I didn't really have, and I didn't have much to say at the time. I just said I think. And we talked about this a month ago. I thought it was the name of the game was going to be replacing the production from Willie Adames, and they didn't. They just found a completely different way to play baseball, and so it's incredible. It
was going to be incredible. Garrett Mitchell coming back, having a big year. Churio being even better. No way were we bringing up Isaac Collins. We didn't even know Isaac Collins was a person. Vaughn either, by the way. Like, even though he was in the majors, like, I didn't know who the heck he was.
Yeah.
Know who he is now. This team has been incredible. And so the streak ends, and then they go on to play the Cubs. And they end up playing the Cubs, that series plus the doubleheader game from I don't know when it was, June something. And they win the first game. And I'm going like, this, we're going to kill. Like, this is going to be the end of it, right? Going into this series against the Cubs, it was the Cubs can either claw back significantly or the Brewers can literally slam and nail the coffin and be done with it after this series. Like, they had the ability to go up, 12 games against the Cubs? Like, it could have just been disgusting. And that didn't happen. So the Brewers come out, they win game 1 in Wrigley. I think they blanked him, right? 7-0.
7-0. Just an absolute gem by Freddie. And that was a start. That was a start we definitely needed from Freddie. It's been a minute.
Correct. We've talked about that. Yeah.
Yeah. Where and it's funny is he still might get to 20 wins. We still are talking about a guy who might pitch to 20 wins. That game, he is, I think, what is it, 15? Yeah, yes, he's 15-5 right now. So it's not inconceivable. Guys just don't get to 20 wins anymore. So even all of our consternation, he's been fine. And it's like those few pitching outings he had before, they still won. They still figured out a way to make it work for him. They beat, the game we were talking about where it looked a little shaky. They won 14-0 against the Pirates. So clearly it wasn't too bad.
Right.
The Cubs game, I think, is the big one that we think about, where we lost 10-3. And yes. Freddie did not. He pitched 4 innings. He gave up 5 hits and got 5 earned runs. So that's the last one where he got really pieced up. Because if you start looking, even the other loss, he had 1 hit, 1 earned run. They lost 5-1 because the offense didn't show up for him. So, but yeah, I mean, he went 7. We won 7-2 against Atlanta, 14-0 against Pittsburgh, 7-0 against the Cubs, and he gave up 1 earned run in his last 3 starts. So he's definitely playing pretty well, pitching very, very good. Yeah,
and need him to keep that up. But so that game happens, feeling real good. Then we get, I'm watching the TV broadcast. BA on the call, says we'll see you in a couple hours for game 2. Narrator, we did not see them for game 2.
We sure didn't.
The rain delayed game gets rain delayed. And we end up losing the opportunity. And I really want to say the motivation, the mojo, the vibe. We came in, we were still, even though the streak ended, we were hot. This team was still burning hot. And then it was stalled. It was canceling this game, playing it, doubleheader moved to tomorrow. Then they lose both games on the doubleheader day. And you're going, okay, that isn't great, but it's 1 day of baseball. 2 games,
Yeah.
1 day of baseball. That's
I mean,
fine.
the first game, and I don't know if it would have been any different if Chad Patrick would have pitched Monday evening instead of, but that was always going to be a tough game. He hasn't been in the big leagues. You know,
Well,
he kind of got squeezed out. He
Are
got
you
called
positive
up.
it was him
Yes, Chad
in the
Patrick's.
doubleheader? It wasn't
Yeah.
going to be Woody
No,
if
it was always,
if that game would have happened?
no, they always, you have to designate your call up for the doubleheader. So it was always going to be Chad Patrick.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Unless, no, I'm pretty sure that's right. I mean, I guess because it was always going to be a night game for Woodruff the next day. So that's why I'm pretty sure Chad Patrick was always going to pitch that second game. I mean, I can look at it real quick if you want to do
It doesn't really matter. I thought that the team was, they were flowing. They were going.
Yeah.
And then after the Chad Patrick game, it was okay. Everything you just said, he was called back up. It was kind of a, who knows how this is going to go. And then, but then it was Woody. All right, now in the second game of the doubleheader, now we got Woody. All right, here we go. And then they can't come away with a win in that game either. And they were clawing back. A late solo shot from the Cubs ended up kind of being the deciding factor in that one. And the Brewers just couldn't get it done. They lose both those games, and then you're like, okay, well, that sucked.
Yeah.
But then you're telling, I'm telling myself, and I got people on Twitter going, are you freaking out? I feel like I should be freaking out. And I was like, not yet. There's nothing to freak out about yet. They're still the best team in baseball. Everyone calm down. Which for me to say is something, that should be something that's taken seriously. But then they lost the next day, right? And now they lost 3 games in a row to the Cubs. Losing 3 games to any other team, I feel like would have gotten me less upset, even though, like, if the Cubs go on a losing streak and the Brewers go on a winning streak against different opponents, it does the same thing.
Yeah.
For some reason, it's the head-to-head stuff. Now, that being said, it was that game, that third game also, or I guess technically fourth game, did decide the series.
Yeah, Mizorowski.
Yes.
Sadly, throwing out a clunker.
And so,
and I think
which we'll talk about, but
yeah. Yes,
but so the Cubs win the series,
correct.
The season series total, however you want to call it, and so that sucked. That was unfortunate. And now, if it does for some reason come down to a tiebreaker, they have it, which is unfortunate. Obviously, hoping that doesn't happen, but that was really the biggest thing that came out of that loss. Then they play today, and the Brewers get it done today.
Yep.
Huge sigh of relief. I don't know exactly why, beyond just like the obvious numbers, but I don't want to say they needed to win this game, but I really needed them to win this game, and they did. And I walked away feeling a lot better going, okay, 2 of 5 instead of 1 of 5.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a surprise. I mean, they needed to win for several reasons. The sky wasn't going to fall no matter what. I'll tell you, being up 7 games feels a lot better than being up 5 games. We've already lost the series, but what I think really, and this is kind of what you said we would maybe dip back in on, was just, it's baseball. Your bats get cold at the wrong time. Your pitching just isn't exceptional like it usually is. And all of a sudden you remember how hard it is to win baseball games. I was talking with some buddies, and what's funny is you think about the way they won those games. We kind of were celebrating the 14-game win streak. And, there's that Easter game where they came back to win 13 in a row. And that's what everyone remembered. I think everyone's going to remember that down 8-1 in the second inning in the Reds, and they just start mashing the ball. They fight their way back. It's 6-8 in like the fourth, and then all of a sudden they blow it wide open. They end up winning 10-8. Right? That's incredible. Come from behind on that 13th to tie it. So there's a lot of fanfare and excitement, right? I'm not going to say the Brewers are luck merchants. They put themselves in those positions. We talk about it all the time, but there is an element of luck to all baseball. Point being, they played better baseball in the 2 losses 2 of the 3 losses they had against the Cubs this week than they did in a lot of the games during that win streak. And the fact of the matter is it's putting hits together, it's getting stuff together. I think you're starting to, in these moments when things aren't clicking and firing on all cylinders, this is where you start to go, man, I'd really love to see Jackson Chourio back in this lineup. That's a big thing for me. As much as I love Contreras, I mean, he did not have a good series against the
Cubs. No,
the Cubs at all. I mean, he went 0 for 5 today.
And he went, I think he went 0 for
in the last 7 days he went. I'm trying to find stats on the fly.
No, you're okay.
Yeah.
I know that for sure in the loss yesterday, he went over, and he had opportunities, bases loaded opportunities, which during that huge 14-game winning streak, Contreras was the hero a lot of the time. He was clutch at the plate, and to then see him so drastically go from clutch to over.
Yeah, he had 2 hits over the 5-game series.
Yeah,
that's going to be tough. That's not going to work.
Right.
That's not going to work. I think about the fact that Isaac Collins came back from paternity leave looking a little rusty. The Cubs. The other fact is, as funny as it is to dunk on the Cubs and pile on Craig Counsell for a million different reasons, they're a very good baseball team. Mm-hmm. We've said that on this podcast before. We took a series that we split that series in June when they did the rain delay. And then, when they came to us, we won that series. So that was great, but they beat us up and beat us up early in the beginning of the season. They're just a very talented roster. Their starting pitching is pretty good. When you're going against Boyd and Imanaga, like we did today, like he gave up that 2-run homer to Bryce and then was just absolutely lights out. Like we didn't get to score more runs until
the bullpen. Yeah.
The bullpen came in. And that's where that is where their trade market is going to, I think, make or break it. Taylor Rogers, he pitched pretty well. I can't stand that guy. But he did pretty well against us today or yesterday when he pitched. But they're going to be a tough baseball team. I think the Cubs on paper give the Brewers the most amount of fits because they got a lot of speed where the Brewers tend to punish teams for not having it. Their outfield is fast. I don't know who this Casey person is, but in stay of Kyle Tucker played out of his mind, absolutely out of his mind, got a home run, a couple hits, robbed a couple balls today too. And I mean, just kind of was making his impression and his presence felt all over the diamond, which is annoying. But the Brewers are going to need our guys to come back and be healthy. I cannot wait for Jackson Chourio to come back. I was feeling like, what are we going to do with Reese when he comes back? But, I think it's safe to say that Andrew Vaughn's kryptonite is the city of Chicago. It doesn't matter who he suited up for. I think inside those city limits, man, he looked terrible defensively. Like specifically that Chad Patrick game, a couple really bad plays that really forced some winnable games to get out of hand. And I think that if there literally was a first baseman behind him, he might have gotten benched, or they might be looking to add rest. I don't really know. He's playing a lot. He's young. He's hitting well. All of that is great. But boy, did some of his, bumps and bruises or, knocks on him really show up. But it's not like Reese Hoskins or Jake Bowers are potential Gold Glove candidates at first either. They're not going to add much defensively, but
correct.
It'll just be nice to get Reese back for another bat. I mean, it's not like he was hitting great numbers before he got injured. He started the season red hot, but at least it's a threat. It's a power threat. Because as great as it is to get Contreras DHing, I mean, Danny Jansen, like he got like a single. I mean, it's just like, boy, when the hits aren't producing runs, you really kind of get reminded quickly how much I wish there was more power on this. Well,
and that was the other surprising thing about everything that happened during the streak is that, during that time, during those 2 months, people that I would usually, when I found out that person was coming to the plate, I'd be like, were, Monasterio hitting that 3-run shot was electric. And it was his second one of the season. Like, he's not a power hitter. and he got behind one. Things just happened. And it seemed like this Cubs series, if anything, it proved that the Brewers are a good team. I mean, their record shows that, right? But even against good teams, the Brewers are still a good team. In the past, we've seen the Brewers run away with the division, but it's because the whole division sucked. And they played a bunch of crappy teams. And then they'd get to the postseason and they would play a worthy opponent and they'd lose. I don't think that that's the same narrative this year. The Brewers are legitimately a good team against good teams. I don't want to listen to the argument of you played them at, you played the Dodgers when they were slumping. You played these guys when they were slumping. Okay, well, the Yankees played the Brewers when they were slumping in the first, week of the season. So I'm not buying into that. However, there are also other good teams. Like you mentioned, the Cubs are a very good team. There are going to be other very good teams that the Brewers are going to have to get past. And there are definitely some areas on this team right now that they need to get fixed before it's showtime, before we get to end of September, like that last week, everything's got to be locked in. We talked about Freddie. Freddie still scares me when he's on the mound. Even he's winning, thank God. I hope that never stops. But it scares me. Now, I'm getting scared with Mizorowski, which I wanted to feel like this is our phenom. This is the Paul Skeens. I don't got to worry about it. Ever since he's come back, they put him in on that start that probably should have been a rehab stint, and they didn't do that. And now he has this outing against the Cubs where essentially he really only gave up a double, right? He gave up one double that got him 3 earned runs, but he walked the bases loaded. Like he put himself in that position because he couldn't find the strike zone in a game that if that game happens in the postseason, you're done. You can't do that. And so I understand he's young, but God, I don't want to have to worry about that either, And so those are the things that I understand now. And this is why I say baseball, there's a lot of baseball. There's still a lot of baseball left. There's a lot of baseball when everyone was partying in mid-August. Now we're a week later and people are freaking out. Well, we still have the whole month of September, people. So you're going to be freaking out and calming down and partying and coming back a whole lot more because that's what happens when you have 162 games. But it's all about being hot at the right time. There's no way, if they're as hot as they were in June and July, we're winning a World Series. That's done. But don't count on that. I'm not expecting that type of performance on both sides of the ball again. I'm just hoping that, whatever, it was maybe a little bit of a reality check against the Cubs of, hey, your job's not done yet. You did really well. You got yourself a nice little cushion in the standings. Better put that foot back on the pedal and get in the zone and figure it out. I'm not saying that they're not doing that, but they have to.
Yeah, totally. I mean, you're right. Mizorowski, and what's funny is he ended up getting charged that win, or the Brewers ended up winning. He was a no decision in that 10-8 when we were talking about.
Yeah.
He didn't look great. I mean, control has always been Mizorowski's concern. I think him, like you said, being out, and then now they're actively throttling back his pitches. So it's like, it's going to feel way more boom or bust. I will say, obviously, him walking that run in and then them bringing, I think it was Mears in, and then him inheriting some of those runs. Not great. It's just, the way the bats were swinging this series more than anything really felt like, man, if they don't come in doing what they need to on the pitching side of the ball, it's going to be really, really tough. But I just want to say, to your point, I think Mizorowski, I think he is a rhythm pitcher, even though his stuff is nasty. I mean, he's young. There's a lot on his plate. And to your point, I don't think he's Paul Skeens. I think Paul Skeens his stuff is nastier than his, but ultimately that consistency is what makes elite pitchers elite. It's not their stuff. It's their ability to do what they do well consistently. And I think he's still so young. And I still think he's got a lot of like growing into his frame. That's the other thing. He's so thin. He's so Gumby that I think so much of his mechanics are 100%. His pitches are his mechanics. And if anybody knows more about baseball, wants to call me bullshit, that's fine. But I'll tell you, there's something about a guy who is built like Skeens throwing. The way he throws seems to make a lot more sense to me, just in the ability to not. I feel like Mizorowski, if his technique isn't there, can't. I don't see him like muscling pitches into the strike zone. It's like if his mechanics are off, they're just going to be off. And I don't know how he fixes that pitch to pitch. And maybe that's a conversation they're having. Each one of these games, I listen to like the Brewers post game when I can, and they have Jerry Augustine, the old Brewers pitcher. Yeah, Augie he'll talk about certain mechanic stuff where he's like, he was releasing early. I'm seeing this. This is what I'm thinking. And so if it is truly tweakable stuff, then he'll get right back to where he was. His control was always an issue. And so it seemed like they had it figured out. I'm hoping that maybe some more starts, whatever that looks like, in less high pressure situation games, it is what it is. I don't want to read too much into him. And to your other point, I just also want to say we won 14 games in a row. The streak was going to come to an end. And you sprinkle these 3 losses over the course of the last 2 months, and it's still a fantastic run. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
Situationally,
you be against the Cubs.
Yeah, situationally, you don't want to be losing it to the only other team that could potentially make the division scary. I will say, standings watch, we still have the best record in baseball, in all of baseball, by 4.5 games over Detroit. I don't know if anything's gone final today, but the last I checked. And then we have 5.5 games up on Philly, and the Dodgers and the Cubs are both 7 games back. So the Brewers have afforded themselves a little bit of a cushion or a luxury. I think the way these injuries are piling up, Joey Ortiz got hit, rocked in his knee yesterday, talking about knee soreness. And so they said, he's not going to play. This would have been, Wednesday into yesterday, because he didn't end up playing yesterday. He's saying a ball hit him on his knee, so it's like hit a nerve, so his leg went numb. He came back and played today and then had to be taken out due to a hamstring issue. So it's just like the Brewers are going to stop prioritizing winning in favor of, I think, some lineups that'll offer some more of these guys rest. And I don't fully mean they're selling like the Sunday lineups, but I just think you're going to start seeing them take injury, like health management, injury risk decisions into more play, because they kind of need to. If this team is going to go where they want to go, yes, they want to hold on to first, but first and second gets you, they have a little bit of a cushion, so I think you're going to see them sneaking a few more things, a few more games here and there. I will say Priester, not his finest outing today, but he got it done against a tough pitcher, and they figured it out. They got 2-0, so it didn't have to be an issue, right? So this is, pitching helps hitting helps pitching, and when they don't help each other, then that's how you lose games. Pretty simply,
That's the magic of the July and August Brewers, was that if you have a team that's clicking on both pitching and offense, they're going to be a huge problem. I don't care how good the opponent is. The big fault of a lot of teams is usually you don't have both. A lot of you have. I mean, look at every time Paul Skeens takes a mound, right? Everyone talks about like, but it gets no run support. Boy, do the Brewers know about that. How many elite pitchers have we had over the last 10, 15 years that, had awful win-loss records because they had absolutely no run support. I mean, Woody specifically, I feel like over his career for a long time lost games 1-0. It was brutal. But that was not the case. The offense was humming over those last 2 months. I mean, during the streak, it was winning games with 14 runs, 10, 7, 6, 7, 10. It was nuts. And it wasn't all the long ball. It was a lot of, there's another single, 2-run score, aggressive base running, everything that you want to see. And then you'd still get a home run here and there too. It was everything. And God, was that fun to watch. But it doesn't mean that, now it's over. It's going away. And so, if you're a Brewers fan, I'm not going to tell you how to fan, but don't necessarily think that there was a switch and that this is a full 180 from what we've seen over the last 2 months. just because of 3 games that they lost to the Cubs. Four, three, three,
3. They went 2
3
and 3.
games
Yep, they
that
went
they
2 and
lost
3.
to the Cubs.
All of this consternation, and they lost 1 game in the standings.
Yeah,
They won the game. They won in the series up 8, right? And then so yeah.
And now they're at 7.
And now they're at 7. Yeah, I'll echo what you said. I will point out some things that I think are positive. Caleb Durbin, I think, has obviously seemed to have found his bat in a meaningful way. You know, he's not he has some power. He hit a home run against the Cubs the last series. I think that walk-off homer, he seems to be getting the ball in play. I mean, Ortiz had been hitting better. This series seemed to be a regression. And I don't know, you know, it's like, I think the guys, they're aware of these big games. And so, you know, you coach all of these the same. If it was a playoff game, do you think Murph would be on him a little bit harder? Maybe. I don't know. But I just think if they keep focusing on the fundamentals and what got him here. But the big thing I'll say is Bryce Trang finding his power.
Yeah.
This whole, you know, him starting to pull the ball into the opposite field and having it translate into power, including like today's. But he's battling balls and he's getting good pitches that he's taking deep into the opposite field. So he's just a guy who you never looked at him as somebody who was going to be able to produce power numbers for you. And that's found money on a guy who you'd say, I'll take whatever offense he gives us because of how great he is as a defender, you know? And same thing with Sal. Summer of Sal continues. TM, you know, he's still been absolutely incredible. He came back. You know, I think somebody I know was saying there's one game, the first game we lost, he hit a ball deep and he only made a double. And it's like, normally that's a triple for Sal. I think he's fighting through stuff, but I think he knows how much he means to the team, how good he is in the leadoff position, how good it is when Yelly gets to remain in those power holes. So, or in the power spots in the lineup. So, I think you can't overreact. This team, like you said, did not do a 180. It's baseball. They weren't going to win every single game, even if we wanted them to. They're still going to lose series after this one before the season's over. It just is the way it is. But they are way more on pace. They'll hit 90 wins in the next 5 series if they keep doing what they've been doing. So no reason to really freak out too bad. I think the fun of the 14 wins, I feel like there's like not to be crude, and I don't necessarily have to be, but there's like a refractory period with all this winning, right? Like you're riding the high and it takes a second. I think like the team, you know, the magic, euchre magic, whatever magic you want to call, but when you get a loss, I think you get to reminded about how long this season is and how bad your back hurts and how much you wish you were at your home. You know, it's like
a lot of ball game left.
And we've been belaboring this point the whole time, but the big thing that we cannot, as Brewers fans, we cannot, and I will tell you how to fan this moment. I reserve, let's say once per season, I'm going to reserve the right to tell you.
Ooh, this is it.
This is it. We as Brewers fans cannot forget to celebrate how incredible the Brewers been by being prisoners of the moment right now about losing 3 games against the Cubs. Just knock it off. If I see anybody posting that the season's done or why can't they, it's just like, get over it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like there's not even a guarantee that we would even see the Cubs in the postseason if we continue doing what we need to do. Like our brand of baseball wins games. You do not become the first team to 80 wins with 4.5 games up on the Tigers, the second best team in baseball, playing our brand of baseball and having it be a fluke. That's why all that luck merchant stuff you see Cubs fans peddling is such a joke, because nothing about the way we play the game produces what the modern MLB considers valuable results. Oh, we're cheating? Yeah, because we're fighting 6+ pitches per at bat. We're cheating because we get a lot of singles, infield balls hit to people who can't play defense. Like, it's an easy formula. It's the Brewers are capitalizing on a league that forgot that the fundamentals are important. And we are a team that plays the fundamentals better than, I want to say, every other single. I mean, the record would say it, but yeah.
Well, I think a lot of the haters, right? Shout out to the haters. Look at this and they say that about luck because they see another team make an error. Well, you can't force a team to make an error unless you're putting the ball in play, right? And so that's the whole mindset. Is it doesn't have to be a team of guys that are hitting the ball out of the park. Keep creating opportunities for the other team to mess up. They're not going to, most teams every night aren't going to be able to be perfect. So if you keep putting it to where you're running fast, you're forcing the team to have to get to that single and keep it in the infield and beat you out at the bag, eventually they're not going to be able to. And that's been the winning juice for this Brewers team, is that ability. That's why they say they just keep pecking away. They keep pecking away. It's not a team of grand slams and back-to-back home runs. It's annoying baseball to watch if you're the opposing team. And I love that. As a Brewer fan, I love it. It's different too, though. It's different than what we've experienced even in Milwaukee. When we found teams with success, it was when Yelich was crushing and hitting home runs, and the Braun and Fielder days of the ball leaving the ballpark. That's not this team. This team is annoying, in your face, like you said, John, just consistent baseball. And losing 3 games to a good team like the Cubs does not mean that that's changing. And I can tell you this, they might lose another series or 2 in the month of September. That could still happen. Don't blow it all up, Brewers fans, if that happens. If I did my math right, I think they have 34 games left.
Yep.
On the season.
Right. Yeah, I think that's right.
So I don't even want to get to the point in which we're breaking down what they have to do and blah, blah, blah. But, if you think they win 20 of those 34, which I don't know what the winning percentage of that would be. I'm not that good at math, but, that's 6 games better than whatever to have go 100 game win season. That's a huge feat. You can't look at the 3 losses to the Cubs or what's happening right now and not appreciate the fact that they've already got 80 wins and a chance to make even more history for this franchise.
Yep.
Get behind them, keep going, go to the day games, let them know. Clearly they feed off of it. These are young, hungry guys. The one last thing I wanted to talk to you about before we move on to the Packers, which we do need to bring up, was, did you see Yelich's comments after the loss yesterday?
Yeah, I sure did.
So he said, when asked about losing 3 in a row, he said, "Who cares?" Which I found very funny. He went on to say, baseball happens. If you can be mad at the losses if there were things that we were doing wrong, if we weren't continuing to play our way, eventually the ball's not going to bounce the way that you want it to. You can't be mad about that. You still played baseball and you're finding ways to win. It's just you didn't these times. Your thoughts on those comments from Yelich?
My thoughts on those comments are, it's pretty much in line with everything we talk about. I don't want to necessarily rehash everything, but sometimes good process doesn't create good results. And I think sadly that was this weekend. And I think I'd be way more concerned if Yelich was doom and gloom about it or saying this is something we need to think about. Yes. And I think even Murphy might've said after that game or before this game, he was saying if the circumstances were different, if this wasn't a regular game season in the middle of August, maybe we'd be having different conversations. But at the end of the day, this sport it gets played 162 times in a season for a reason. Right. And so I think ultimately when we look at, I don't want to see them getting too high or too low on a losing streak right now, because it just doesn't matter. And it's counterproductive to the power of friendship. It's counterproductive to pocket pancakes. It's counterproductive to George Webb burgers, all the things that are making the Brewers great.
Yeah.
Being afraid, being scared, being worried about these moments is the thief of joy. And I think they know that too. There's just no reason to put this much stock. Did you see, Craig Counsell after the game today was at the end of the series, we went 3-2. Honestly, feels like we went, he said, holds held steady. I think I might be able to find. Yeah, he said we held serve. Yeah, we probably needed a little bit more. We won 3 out of 5. Today stings a little bit. It just sting a lot of bit. You had an opportunity to really definitively steal some games back from the Brewers, and you couldn't do it on your birthday, Craig. You
Yeah. Used to celebrate that.
Traitor. Yeah, he doesn't know where he's never seen a George Webb before.
Yeah.
Go to hell.
Okay.
Go to hell. Go to hell, guy.
Yeah. There's no way that's true. Get the
there is
hell
a couple
out of here.
other things I want to celebrate right now.
Yes.
And I think this is just some last little Brewer stuff. Baseball America ranked the Brewers with having the #1 farm system. Part of that is obviously due to the fact that they still have Jacob Mizorowski considered to be a part of the minor league team, which is fine. But with guys like Jesus Mate and Luis Pena, Devers, a bunch of pitching prospects, man, I just want to know our new first baseman that we drafted, our first round pick this year. He's playing. Is it Fisher?
I don't know.
Yeah, hold on. Yeah, he's playing third base. My bad. Andrew Fisher. He was our first round draft pick this year. He's already in high A baseball. They're ripping the cover off the ball. It's so fun. I might have said it last time we had this, but it's like if you have never been to a Timber Rattlers game and you have the time to go see it, you should really make it a point to go see it when these 3 guys are there, because they're not going to be there long. I could see them getting called up to 2A to Biloxi pretty fast. So just something to think about if you're a Brewers fan, because the way we keep winning this division is by doing exactly what we're doing, drafting guys who fit the vision, can play, taking chances and opportunities. I mean, Mate and Pena look like absolute revelations, and Fisher looks just as good, from the collegiate route. He's been playing super well in his first 5 games here. He scored 3 runs, has had 8 hits, and I think he got called up 7 games. Yep. So there you go. So doing everything you want out of him. So just super fun. I just want to say Baseball America named us the #1 farm system, which rules. And it just means that we can keep refilling the cupboards as these guys keep moving right along. So
which they will, because they will all earn huge contracts that the Brewers will not be able to fill. And so, that's why we enjoy the magic. We enjoy the ride when it's happening, because it won't last forever. And hopefully, that's right. Get your coupon. You're celebrating 12 wins, 14 this time around. A new record for the streak. All right, really quick. The Packers, I still don't care about them at this point. I'm not worrying about anything with it, but training camp, happened. There was a fist fight with Seattle at the joint practice. Did you see that? Are you worried about it? Some people are already saying that this team is just looking like nothing but trouble with injuries and other stuff that are already happening, and LaFleur's losing the locker room, and I don't know, all this other stuff that is clickbait on Twitter.
Yeah, it's all clickbait on Twitter. I mean, I don't know how many different ways that we can watch a Matt LaFleur offseason and have to remind ourselves that he shows absolutely nothing.
Right.
Just absolutely nothing. So these preseason games don't matter. We didn't play our starters. I mean, the real big news is Jordan Love got that little hand surgery on his non-throwing hand. He's already back. He'll be back. It's no problem. I think there are question marks that the Packers will need to answer, but I don't know. We probably should do a more earnest prospect primer after this last training camp, and we can really dive into it.
It's just so hard right now because Brewers.
I know. And it's and then the Bucks got Amir Coffee. And so I'm supposed to care about training camp when also Giannis just played in FIBA yesterday and absolutely embarrassed Kristaps. There's just so much more fun stuff to worry about than the exhibition stuff. And I'll tell you this, I'm a little concerned that our wide receivers might just not be as good as we hope they'd be. When you talk about oh yeah, they all do a little bit of what you want, but I'm worried that some of them just are never going to give you enough of anything. That is a problem. Matthew Golden looks real good, could be easily starting. And I don't even know if I would have had him as the 3 or 4 guy over some of the guys that are already in the locker room, but he seems to be absolutely no joke. Jordan Morgan, I think, is impressing. And I think it's going to be a coin flip again between him and Rasheed Walker. So the LVN news seems promising. It seems like he's taking a huge step forward. When they eventually trade for Trey Hendrickson or Micah Parsons, I think that's going to really round out that rush room.
That'll be a kicker for sure.
I will say, though, Herman, Andy Herman, I have never met him. I know you have. He seems like a lovely guy.
Yes, he is. Very nice man.
He did a Pack a Day podcast episode today about Parsons, Hendrickson, Jadeveon Clowney. Those are kind of like the Goldilocks zones of like too much, just right, and not enough. And I think like the more he makes a claim that if we could send a second round pick and a young guy for Trey Hendrickson, would you do it? And I wanted to do it a while ago. And the longer it goes, the less that price tag goes down. He's going to earn whatever. He's going to get a TJ Watt contract. He's a little older, but he produces, and he's been producing consistently the entire time he's been a player. I still think we do it. I think you could send Dobbs. I don't think Dobbs has a future in Green Bay. I think there's a lot of young guys that if they want somebody on our line. So I would love to see maybe some sort of like legacy defining move. I mean, if they traded for Micah Parsons, that's the Reggie White equivalent of Ron Wolf. Like that's straight up like, and you go from having maybe on most games, one of the top 3 players on defense, like Xavier McKinney, I think is ascending to be maybe one of the best guys on a defensive side of the ball. But it becomes a no doubter. And so, how much farm do you have to sell to do that? I don't know.
Well, that's the kicker.
I think it's a huge pipe dream.
There is a limit.
But I definitely, I've heard hearing interesting mixed things in camp. I'm always worried about the pass rush. I'm always worried about the wide receivers because ultimately there's just so much. And I guess Matthew Golden breaks what I'm about to say. It's like, I just feel like so much of it is always like, they're going to figure it out this year. They're going to, you know what I mean? The wide receiver is going to round a corner. And it's like, yeah, but what if they don't? What do we do? Right. The answer is Golden. Okay, I can live with that. The answer is Christian Watson's going to be back way sooner than anyone thought. And then you have Tucker Kraft and Luke Musgraves, and then you play big. You only have to worry about having 1 or 2 wide receivers out there in the first place. Josh Jacobs can still have a steady diet. So it's like there's so many different ways this offense can be better than good, explosive even, without just trotting out the, what we're used to. I think 5 wide, Aaron Rodgers. I'm staring at 5 wide receivers. When you're talking about Jennings, Jones, Adams, like Jordy, like those days are long gone. You only need 1 or 2 because there's athletic and dynamic catchers other places on the field. So I'm always paying attention to that. The pass rush has me a little nervous. If LVN does not take a step forward, Gary Clark, like that offensive line coach, the new one, man, he better be turning water into wine. Like I'm talking those level of miracles. But I also forget that, like, I don't know, JJ Enagbari, what they thought he had an ACL injury at the end of the 2023 season. And he came back and LaFleur was like, nope, he's fine. How fine was he? I think there's always going to be questions. There's plenty of answers. To get worked up about this team before we see a single football, like a meaningful snap of football is going to be really tough.
So it's so ridiculous. Sometimes there's reason to focus on that because there's nothing else going on, but there are so many other things to celebrate at this point that don't do that. If you want to enjoy the fact that football's back, fine, do that, but then cut it off there. You don't have to read into any of the tea leaves or any of the negativity. Not at this point. Not when there are way more awesome things to be celebrating and paying attention to, because historic things are happening on the baseball diamond. So pay attention to those first. All right. Woo! What an episode. So many great things. Hopefully, next time we talk, there's going to be even more exciting things happening. Very, very excited with what the Brewers are doing, hoping that they can get back on the winning side after this series with the Cubs. John, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for being a part of this and listening and watching us. We really do appreciate it. And make sure to tune in next time because we are not done yet.